there's no shortage of mysteries out there. So from an unknown noise that many people hear all around the world, to a supposed lake monster, here we have 5 unsolved mysteries that still need answers. The Beast of Bray Road is a hairy humanoid with canine features that was sighted near 2 towns in Wisconsin, mainly during the 1990s. It was labelled a werewolf in local folklore. Most cryptozoologists have decided to label it a Bigfoot, in order to avoid dealing with the scientific absurdities involved with werewolves. However, some people think that it's a cryptid canine instead. Some researchers considered the Beast of Bray Road to be identical to a kind of Wisconsin Bigfoot, named the Bluff Monster or the Eddie. The Beast of Bray Road counts as the most famous of modern American werewolves. It's been in the media regularly since the first sightings were publicised, and even had a low-budget movie based on its legend. Because of the numerous witnesses who have claimed to see this creature, the evidence supporting the beast is far greater than the evidence supporting almost any other werewolf legend. First of all, there are those that try to hold up something far more normal than the creature as is described by most witnesses. Some say that all the fuss must be based around an escaped wolf, a large feral dog, a bear, or some other creature that is known to exist. Champ is the name given to a reputed lake monster living in Lake Champlain. The lake is a natural freshwater lake in North America, and is partially situated across the US-Canada border in the Canadian province of Quebec, and across the Vermont-New York border. While there is no scientific evidence for the cryptid's existence, there have been over 300 reported sightings. The legend of the monster is considered a draw for tourism in the Burlington, Vermont and New York areas. Like the Loch Ness Monster, most regard Champ as a legend. Others have speculated that it's possible such a creature does live deep in the lake, and is possibly a relative of the plesiosaur, an extinct group of aquatic reptiles. Lake Champlain is a 125-mile long body of fresh water that is shared by New York and Vermont and just a few miles into Quebec, Canada. The Champ legend has become a revenue-generating attraction. For example, the village of Port Henry, New York has erected a giant model of Champ, and holds Champ Day on the first Saturday of every August. Champ reportedly can be seen in a video taken by a fisherman. The video was taken in 2005. Close examination of the images may be interpreted either as a head and a neck of a plesiosaur-like animal, and even an open mouth in one frame, and a closed mouth in another. 2 retired FBI forensic image analysts, who reviewed the tape, said it appears authentic and unmanipulated. Non-believers think Champ is just a modern sea creature. The Grassman is a tall bipedal hominid that stalks the woods of Ohio. It's reportedly very similar to Bigfoot. It seems to be much more aggressive than any other Sasquatch species. The first prominent sighting of the Grassman occurred in a small village near Ohio. In August of 1978, 2 children along with their friends ran inside screaming about a hairy monster they saw in the gravel pit outside. When the grandparents went out to investigate, they saw what the crying children had described. It was covered in dark matted hair, sitting in the pit and playing with discarded rubbish. It was estimated to be around 300 pounds. In the late 1800s, sightings of a similar hairy beast were made near a river. The hominid had apparently tried to throw a man out of his carriage, but retreated when his daughter, riding as a passenger, threw several stones at it. It's unknown whether these are all Grassman sightings, or possibly sightings of a similar kind of Bigfoot. The Lake Norman monster is often described as long and serpentine with scaly fins or flippers. The creature has been seen by dozens of witnesses: swimmers, fishermen, campers, water skiers and scuba divers. Descriptions vary in colour and size, but it seems people are definitely seeing something large and frightening in the lake. Lake Norman is a man-made lake located in North Carolina. It's the largest man-made lake in North Carolina with over 500 miles of shoreline, and a surface area of 32,500 acres, more than enough for at least one large unknown animal. The Lake Norman creature isn't shy. It's fond of chasing fast boats and often bumps up against water skiers and swimmers. There have even been attacks. A scuba diver reported narrowly escaping a creature with a dog-like head and red eyes that chomped onto one of his flippers. The flipper was lost, but the diver survived. In another incident, a person on a jet ski claimed that a monster surfaced in front of him and brushed up against his leg, leaving a slimy substance that caused an itchy rash. There are several theories to explain the Lake Norman monster. Some believe the creature is none other than a catfish of gigantic proportions. Others think people are seeing a large fish called a bowfish, alligators, or possibly large salamanders. The hum. It's an unusual drowning sound that first made headlines in the 1970s in Bristol, but since then has been reported in many places including Manchester, Leeds and Wiltshire. But what is the hum? And more importantly, will it ever truly be explained? The noise itself seems to be localised to certain areas, and tends to be heard in silent rooms or in places where there's not much noise. For this reason, those who complain about the hum tend to complain the most at night, and other quieter parts of the day. What makes the phenomenon all the more unusual is the fact that only certain people seem to be able to hear the sound. There was one woman in Leeds, for example, who became infuriated with the hum after none of her friends were able to hear it. She claimed that the constant droning noise was like a torture. There have been many attempts to isolate the exact cause of the hum, although nothing has been proven conclusively. The more conventional suggestions seem to revolve around it being the result of heavy machinery in nearby factories, mobile phone masts, gas pipelines and many other mundane explanations. In fact, in one case in Indiana, USA, the source of the hum was confirmed as being an air compressor and a cooling tower, but these are isolated cases, and unlikely to be related to the more insidious humming reported here in the UK. Doctors have stated that the hum could be the result of the human's body's natural tendency to boost the volume when in a low noise environment. However, numerous people who complain about the hum have had a range of ear tests and all come back clear. That suggests that there may be something else going on. While it'd be great to simply write off the humming sound as the result of a factory or aeroplane, we can't forget that the sound has a darker side. According to the BBC, there have been countless sufferers who have had their lives torn apart by the constant sound, and it's not just here in the UK that these things have been reported. In fact, perhaps the most well-known example was in Taos, New Mexico. During the 1980s, there were hundreds of citizens who complained of the humming sound disturbing their lives, but numerous studies and tests proved inconclusive. If you haven't heard it before, these are some clips that have captured the sound. This video was filmed on the 4th of January 2016 by a YouTube user called My Name is Flipflop. It was filmed in Bristol here in the UK. Listen. So that was 5 unsolved mysteries that still need answers. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more countdown videos.